To wrap up this year, what you've been enjoying?
Slow horses.
Severance, The Last of Us,
Adolescence. We hadn't seen anything like that in a long time. K-pop Demon Hunters, phenomenal.
2026 is going to be absolutely massive.
You got GTA. HBO premiered their sort of slate for next year, and I don't think I saw a show that I didn't want to see. And Night of the Seven Kingdoms jumped out at me. Half Man, really interesting. I want to know more about that show. Fallout, the new Blade Runner series. There are so many things.
Let's start with what you've been playing and what you've been watching and what you've been enjoying.
That's funny. I thought about this because there are so many things. You have to go back into your mental database because it's a long year. It's a short, long year. And there's always things that are you might overlook or forget about. But I think from my personal perspective, and I break it down to entertainment in all forms, right? It's starting, I think, with the television side of things. Like I love Slow Horses. Got really into Alien Earth. I thought that was incredibly well done. I think it's one of my favorite iterations of Alien, believe it or not. And I loved how it also bled
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
Predator Badlands, which is fun. Spoiler alert. And how they're mirroring that universe. The Pit was phenomenal. And the thing about my likes and dislikes are I have to keep them somewhat out of my professional life because there's so many things that I was involved with that I like
Yeah.
too, but I can't self promote. I can say Five Nights because I loved it, but it's I'm going to keep
Yeah.
it territory outside of my purview if that's okay. Although my sister-in-law she produced The Pit, but that doesn't count. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I've got to start at the beginning of the year. I think, and this is probably like you and Pete that was directing me this direction, but like Silo, I absolutely loved. I just thought that it was pretty damn amazing. It led me to go back and take a look at the book. And yeah, I just thought it was tremendous. I liked the way that it's shot. For me, it was flawless. I just really enjoyed it. I did enjoy Severance, but Severance to me was a bit of a slow burner. At the beginning, I wasn't really that keen on it. And then people told me just to chug on through. And Severance is a really well produced and well-made show. So I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah.
I'm excited on the basis of the prior seasons that I've seen thus far of Fallout. I'm excited to see the next iteration of that. Obviously, massive Fallout fan. So when they like got involved and did that, I was like, yeah, this is right on my street. Loved that. The Last of Us, I thought, you know what I'm like about Last of Us, so I'm not going to wax lyrical about that all the time. But The Last of Us, the second season, I could see why they did it in the way that they did. But to me, it just didn't land as well as the first season. That's not to say I didn't really enjoy it. That's right up my street. And it
Yeah.
also led me, it's a bit of an older one, but Station 11. I really enjoyed Station 11, and those are the top level ones.
You introduced me to Rogue
Really,
Heroes, which I watched this year, which I was addicted. And I think there's another season coming if it's not already
yeah.
out.
I wasn't expecting it to be anything as good as it was, but there's a Christmas film at the moment with Connor in it. So he's one of the guys in SAS Rogue Heroes, and it's called like Christmas Heist, I think, the Christmas Bank Job or something like. It's on Netflix, but I thought it was just going to be absolutely garbage. But I think that guy, he's just like a chameleon. He tells a story with his eyes that just, yeah, like it just it draws you in. And yeah, to me, it's a bit like Sex Education.
Love Sex Education, and then you
Yeah,
made me think that
Adolescence was unreal.
Adolescence, which was
He's,
another.
I don't know, it made me feel a bit weird because as a dad, I was like, oh, this is pretty dull, bro.
I was thrilled my kids are older, 21 and now 25, but it was your heart pounded. You couldn't take your eyes off it. The way they produced it was like hadn't seen anything like that in a long time. It was so well executed, and you were bouncing between how well it was made and waiting for something to not like. How did they do that in one take? And then at the same time appreciating the gravity and the emotionality, if that's even a word, of that story. It was intense. You could not feel. And that's, I think, really these days for me, what works in television is making me feel. I've been watching Landman season 2. I just started, and episode 4 was this like father-daughter, father-son family dynamic. And when you live a little longer and you have all these experiences with losing parents and having older kids and going through what they're going through. And it just hit different for me. Like I think I needed 5 tissues to make it through that episode. I was just like,
it's one of those things that you can just sit and just be
Yeah.
engrossed in, like the way it's shot, like just the visuals, everything about it is just absolutely superb. I've got to say, I'm a big fan of John Hamm as well. So obviously back from the Mad Men days, I absolutely love that guy. And there's another show, Your Friends and Neighbors. No, it's not.
yeah, I watched that. That was on Apple. I like that. It was solid. It was definitely like nutritious, but I don't know if I wanted to race back to it. But Ham in season 5 of Fargo might have been my favorite season of that show with him. I don't know. I watched that
Yeah.
on a plane on my way to Dubai, and I had to watch every episode on the plane. So,
So what
season
we
5,
both love
epic.
Slow Horses, but what did you think of the latest season and what's your views of it?
But it's funny, I always think, how do they continue to up the ante? And I'm terrible at the characters' names, but it was I love how they
Yeah.
leaned into the computer hacker and his story and the relationship he thought he was having with a plant. So I thought the setup was great. And there was a lot more felt like there's more twists and turns in this one. But I also love the main character, and this wasn't his season. Like, it was much less about him as much as I like him and what he's been through.
Back to the adolescence thing, because obviously, Stephen Graham, I just think that guy's just unbelievable in regards to his, like, portfolio and stuff. But did you ever watch what is it, Boiling Point back in the day that he did they did that in a one take, which I just thought was absolutely insane. Yeah.
Missed that one. That's why we have these conversations so that we have things to watch.
What's your
Basketball
take on
season,
the
but what can I
latest
say?
Stranger Things? Have you seen any of it or what?
I'm waiting, and all I know is I've talked to a lot of people in the millennial generation and teenagers, and it's interesting, like, the amount of
Right.
engagement was off the charts. The amount of, like, positive feedback, I haven't there seems to be a consistency of it's not maybe the man it used to be. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't wanna comment aggressively on it, but I'm looking forward to see I love that series, and there hasn't been a season yet that's disappointed me, so I will watch it.
I think they're not really telling a story that's gonna be too different to what people expect. So, obviously, it's not a huge spoiler, but, like, the role of Will's gonna be so key. What he ends up doing at the last iteration that we've seen thus far that's available, yeah, it's insane. Like, it's obviously a connection there between what clearly is going to be his father. It's yeah, like I just think that those guys are tremendous, and I hope it doesn't end up in the way that it's not like Game of Thrones esque. I hope where it doesn't like just end up in just absolute like dross. I hope it goes into what people are expecting. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a few I like all of these like undertones and these kind of little threads that need to be linked together to make it something compelling. But yeah, what I see thus far, I can see why people are a bit on the fence about it, but they're building, right? That's the whole that you don't want to give away everything right off the bat.
You don't wanna give it away, and it was also incredibly well I mean, Netflix has really advanced in a huge way their ability to market and promote their shows, and in particular, Stranger Things, from a partnership perspective, from a consumer products perspective, you couldn't go anywhere and not see some type of Stranger Things engagement or activation all over the world, whether it's waffle making in Berlin or things here, and, like, it was just and sometimes when you build up that hype, that increases that expectation. I'm in the
Yeah.
marketing business of entertainment, and sometimes you wanna leave a little bit to get people excited, and this was like, you couldn't walk around it reminded me of Minions 2. You walk into Target, there was 25 feet of Stranger Things, so kudos to them, but then I think your expectations build as to how will it live up to
What
that.
about Demon Hunters? Did you watch that?
Oh, guys, phenomenal. Yeah, I love this. And I love how people call it anime. It's not like it's the furthest thing, but it had some anime influences.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just thought it was so much fun. I thought, again, when you talk about stories and characters and why does something work at the box office or on streaming, but doesn't have a life afterwards, and why do some things last? Music couldn't have been better. The characters, the relationships, the currencies of power, all the things that you bring home with you after you watch it, but you wanted to keep it in your life. And if you looked at Halloween in America this year, it was a K-pop Demon Hunters Halloween. You couldn't go to a gym, or I went to my daughter's college parents weekend, and we're talking 18 to 22-year-old kids, and all the parents are with the kids, and they're going to all the bars, and the bar puts on Golden, and everybody's singing and dancing, and these are college kids. It just resonated with youngsters, with college age, and if you're a parent or just someone who enjoys good entertainment and
yeah,
good
yeah. I was dragged
animation, I
into
thought
it
it
by
was
my kids,
phenomenal.
and I
Yeah,
was hooked. I was really enjoying it.
and
Yeah,
you enjoyed it.
It does make me chuckle though because like I'd love to get your take on it from a merch perspective, but they apparently approached a lot of people to start off with in regards to merchandises before it came anywhere near coming out, and nobody was really wanting to do anything with it. And now they've like they're jumping on the bandwagon late on, and it feels a little bit like this is showing my age, but remember like the old Cabbage Patch Doll thing where they couldn't like supply the demand there? It feels a little bit like that from this Christmas, but
I would say that they probably didn't put that much emphasis on trying to merchandise it beforehand because Netflix to date, until they acquire a studio that has
mm,
theatrical distribution, which we'll talk about, their movies have not really been big consumer products businesses. And part of that is because they don't come alongside a large promotional marketing eventized experience like Warner or Universal or Disney can do against a theatrical. If you look at their slate over the course of their animated movies, even their live action movies, there hasn't been that I can think of a merchandisable or something that's resonated beyond its streaming introduction. And this one, I've heard where people talk about, they probably went to all the toy companies and they said, no, the truth is that the toy companies and the retailers, as much as they've done well with Bridgerton and Stranger Things and Squid Games, on the movie side, the metrics haven't proven that you can drive merchandise
yeah,
for a Netflix movie. And this changed entirely that scenario. Now, you can, within moments after that movie came out and it was what it was, there were deals being struck with Hasbro, Mattel, and Jazzwares and Funko, and the quick to market companies could take full advantage. And now it's one of those things where it'll last. Frozen lasted. Like all these movies have this repeatability and replayability. There will be resonance into next year, but how do you keep that going until the next one, which is supposedly what 2027 or 2029? I can't remember, but
yeah.
these take a minute to make, right? These animated movies are not quick to market. Sustainability will be the question.
What are your thoughts in regards to the acquisition of Warner Brothers? And also, I'm a boxing fan, so I'm looking at everybody's looking at what's about to happen to Jake Paul. But Jake Paul's been amazing for the sport of boxing. That fight with Tyson, that from a purse perspective, it was like 40 mil to him, 20 mil to Tyson. But then it led to additional subs to Netflix. So you can see the cost benefit analysis to them in regards to recurring revenue and investments. Yeah, what are your thoughts in regards to their acquisition approach and also secondly the purchasing of Warner Brothers?
I love it. I love it on health. Like the downside is there'll be a lot of folks we know
Mm,
that are probably going to be downsized because of an acquisition like that. I like it that it gives Netflix films that deserve it and Warner Brothers franchises that deserve it theatrical, eventized marketing experiences. It gives Netflix an even bigger gaming footprint. It gives them theme park attractions. It gives them Harry Potter and DC and
well,
HBO. It is brilliant. Like it is a force multiplier in the world of streaming and content ownership and brand IP building and franchise building. So I think it's fantastic. Interesting on the news side of things, you know, how that works with CNN and that whole side of the business. It's six in one hand, half a dozen the other. It's Paramount, Netflix. Some
mm,
Warner's is being acquired. And can I make an argument who's the better fit? Yeah, I think Netflix benefits pretty significant. I think both enterprises significantly benefit.
I saw that they invested a lot in baseball. I'm not really a massive baseball fan, but
They're baseball, they're doing football, they're doing wrestling. I think the smartest thing, one of the smartest things he did was the UFC acquisition for Paramount. Like live sports is where and Amazon's doing it. It's where it's event. It's bringing people to the platform. It increases subs. It's so smart. You have to have it. And now they have the ability to do it. So I'm saying what everybody already knows, but I think
yeah.
it's going to
I
be a
like
game
I'm
changer. Yeah.
assuming you're also like a fighting fan as well. So like in regards to like that fight, Jake Paul against Joshua, he has some massive balls in himself if he makes that ring walk to go there. Cause like by all accounts, it doesn't look like an exhibition. It looks like a proper sanctioned fight. So Joshua's no joke. Like I know that he talks about how he thinks that Joshua is a bit chinny, but he's an Olympic champion. He's multiple world champion as well. He's like even a poor Joshua showing up to that could I just Jake Paul's doing something I wouldn't dare to do.
Either Jake Paul is walking through raindrops with his fights, or he's legit, and he's the ultimate foil. He's a huge draw. Everybody wants to see what happens. Is he going to knock someone out, or is he going to get knocked out? And everybody wins in both instances. Yeah, he's done so much for that the world of boxing. I think he's brought story and fanfare, and
Oh,
boxing took a dip, a huge dip. And I think the young males of the world, they've gone MMA. Like that's where you'll find a huge constituency of young men and millennials and whatever the generation behind me is. Like it's massive. And Jake's brought that kind of
yeah, like, I
energy
really
back to
like him. I
boxing,
think
which is
there's
cool.
nothing bad that comes from that guy. I think in regards to what he's done for the elevation of, like, female boxers, I think it's incredible. He's got his own promotion going on, like, the journey that he's done. Yeah, he's a legitimate fighter, but I just think that if it is a legitimate fight, I cannot see anything other than a first and maximum second round stoppage. But it's like everybody's gonna be doing. We're all gonna tune in to watch it because we're intrigued, and that's
And we don't have to pay-per-view, like, we get to
yeah,
watch
yeah.
it, and then that's amazing.
What about games? Let's switch back, and what games have you enjoyed this year?
I got manage how much time in the day that I really have, so I got stuck a little bit this year falling back into some bad habits with NBA 2K and PGA golf. But if you, I was so wildly impressed with the Simpsons X Fortnite crossover. Thought what they did collectively across the board was absolutely brilliant. Anybody I know that plays Fortnite has been thrilled with how they integrated the Simpsons universe into Fortnite. I loved it. And then at the Game Awards last night, I'm a big fan of compulsion games. I think, are some of the most artistic, was creative storytellers, and they put so much soul into their properties. I worked with them
Yeah,
on We Happy Few years ago, and when I saw South of Midnight, I was once again, blown away by the artistry, by the storytelling, by the fact that this is interactive as a medium to create emotions and to have a deeper sensitivity and relationship to characters and experiences. So I was blown away by that one, and of course, I think Hollow
yeah.
Knight, you can't deny. I know everybody wants me to say Clair Obscura. I haven't played it yet. I know I should. It swept last night, and we actually represent Split Fiction, which is another one which is gorgeous and amazing and should have been in that list of best games of the year. But those are the ones.
Back to what you say about time. I've been diving in and out of things just because they're just like young kids, busy, lots going on. But I've always been a fan of the Mafia franchise, and I think that the return that they did with Old Country, it was short, the story was good, it was yeah, like it was what it needed to be, and I enjoyed Mafia Old Country. I thought it was well made. Yeah, for me that was really enjoyable. A lot of hours, probably far too many, spent in Kingdom Come Deliverance II.
Yeah, that one got a lot of love.
It's a stunning game. You can tell its history and where it's come from. I can't remember when it came out, but I started playing it this year, and it's nice to see it on iOS and Android now. But Planet of Lana is really good. It's like I enjoy, I think, at the moment, as well as like stories that I'm really going to be captivated, engaged by, and moved by. I also enjoy stories that you can just slowly but surely immerse yourself within. And Planet of Lana is definitely one of them. And it's a smaller studio that did it, but there's in these you're essentially just like making coffee, so you can see how busy my brain is through the day that I've played a game about making coffee.
Everyone has a reason for playing games, man. Some just need the adrenaline rush, and some need the social engagement. Some need the cozy nature of it and just a distraction. There's games for everybody. I tend to gravitate towards strong story games, like I don't need to play the multiplayer shoot 'em up. Like that's not the universe that I live in. I like narrative. I like the way you can engage and engross yourself in a story and feel part of it and connected to the characters. That's the thing that I love about gaming these days is the storytelling, the metaphors, all these different ways for storytellers to now find a
Yeah.
new medium.
I felt like this year was a return to the golden age of gaming. There was just so many that came out this year. It was like an absolute gem of a year for games.
Yeah, which is
Right.
ironic because if you follow the industry, it's had a lot of turmoil.
What is it that you like this year? I was actually surprised I enjoyed that.
That's funny. The one thing that stands out to me that I really enjoyed, and my stepbrother turned me on to this, was a podcast called Valley Heat. And I usually listen to, more news oriented or business or tech type of pods in the car or an audiobook. But this podcast was one of the funny, it was like an episode, it was like Herb Your Enthusiasm meets King of the Hill. And I couldn't stop listening to this podcast. It voices the comedy, the timing, the situations
Yeah.
were epic. And I'm like, "Oh, I think I like comedy podcasts now." It was great, and of course, Diary of a CEO, I've
Yeah.
gotten pretty addicted to as well.
I fell off Diary of a CEO. There's been a few that I've enjoyed, but I think I'm a big Rich Roll fan. I'm sure we've talked about this before. And he interviewed a guy called Nicholas Thompson, and he's just brought out a book called The Running Ground. And also, like Nicholas Thompson, if you look at like what he does professionally, he's the chief executive of the Atlantic, and he's also running. I ran 1,000 miles this year, so I was pretty stoked by that. And I was like, I follow people like that on Strava, and he's run 2.5, 3,000 miles. I'm like,
Woo! Again, you talk about time of the day and how much
yeah,
we're all grinders that we love to do, and we put a lot of time into it. And to be able to do these extracurricular activities of getting the exercise in that you need, eating the right way, taking the right supplements, playing the right games, watching the right TV. Like I don't know,
yeah.
I need a couple more
But
hours in
I
the
would
day,
definitely
really.
recommend if you like a podcast, just tune into that one with Nicholas Thompson because like his story's pretty epic and it'll lead you down the road of his book. And then in terms of another book, like I love snooker. I'm British, so I'm about I love snooker and darts. It's also the darts time of year, and with the World Championships on at the moment at Christmas. But it's a bit of an older book, but there's an absolute maverick in snooker, and his name's Ronnie O'Sullivan, and his story is just tremendous. Not only is he something like a seven-time world champion, and he's won something like 41 massive tournaments in the sport, but his dad, like, was put away for murder. He's had to go through so much personally and professionally, and the book's called Unbreakable, and it's not really about snooker. It's about him and this crazy journey, and just an absolutely incredible book.
Huh. Send me a link to that one. I'm listening
Yeah,
to The Lies of Locke Lamore and really enjoy when I got that off of a book talker. It was great,
yeah.
but I will listen to that one next. I'm reading this one, which my girlfriend's
What's
dog
that
got
one?
to, unfortunately. But it's this unbelievably clever book called Ghost Hunters Adventures Club: The
Yeah,
Secret of the Grand Chateau. And it's got a Lemony Snicket vibe to it with the author, but it's like Hardy Boys, but contemporary with a sense of humor and relationship set between the protagonists that just make it so fun to read. And I'm probably like,
yeah,
I'd say it's
yeah,
probably YA. It's definitely YA. It's taking something we all were familiar with, the Hardy Boys, and making it a little bit more fucked
yeah.
up. And next year, I mean, a couple of thoughts. I don't know if you saw Deadline today, but HBO premiered their sort of slate for next year. And I don't think I saw a show that I didn't want to see. In particular, I think A Night of the Seven Kingdoms jumped out at me, which looked really well executed. Half Man looked really interesting. I want to know more about that show. You mentioned Fallout, which I can't wait for. And then the new Blade Runner series on Amazon, towards which I'm hoping is Q3. We don't know exactly when it's coming out yet, but I'm looking forward. That's Lucy Liu and Hunter Schafer kind of picking up the mantle and doing in 2099. Um, so I'm excited about that one. That's on the
Um,
TV side.
I would say on a game, I hope it comes next year. But Judas from Ken Levine's Studio Ghost Stories, it could come out next year. It could come out the year after. Who knows? But it's close. I was lucky enough to interview him like earlier on in the year, and yeah, like just what he's trying to achieve with that. It's not really something that I've seen done within games before in regards to the complexity. Like he talks about things like narrative Lego and how things can combine and you ultimately do a deal with this person over here, and then this person feels offended by it, so doesn't want to work with you going forward. So all of the ways that you interact within that world, I think it could be something special. But again, like I want to see it come out, and I want to have a go at it. And yeah, I'm excited for that when it comes out.
Come on, let's talk about
Mhm.
what should have been out this year, which is out next year. You got
Oh,
GTA. That is the daddy. But when it comes to the things that I've seen and have caught my attention, one of them is
yeah,
a game called Begone Beast, which looks like a super fun, cute, scary, accessible title with a cute character set, with a scary scenario, a good narrative, good design. Looks like it's got a lot of the right attributes. That's something I would be excited about. There's another one by a YouTuber who's doing his first game. I think
mhm,
it's called, and the game's called The Daughter. And I just saw the trailer for that the other day, and I'm like, I need to know more. This one looks scary as fuck, and like well done trailer, cool concept. I like horror games, and that one is really jumping out at me as something I'm going to want to play. And then Grave
yeah.
Seasons from Blumhouse Games looks like it's got some fun.
what
potential
about
as well.
films? I've got to say, because like I'm being an 80s kid, I think it's coming middle of the year, but Masters of the Universe, I cannot wait for that.
I'm nervous about Masters because
Really.
everybody watched the animated series and this property like Thundercats and Masters. It's one of the most, those are high profile IPs today. Like it's multi generational and Masters is up there, but the first movie like was so bad that I'm anxious to see how they do that movie. Let's put it that way. Am I looking forward to it? Sure. I just am curious. I'm really curious on that one. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Then you got Return to
it'll be
Silent
big.
Hill. It's meant to be out at some point next year as well. Yeah, big fan of Silent Hill game. So like I know that it's a bit of the same as well. Like when they did the initial, it wasn't so good. But again, like I'm curious to see how that comes across.
Yeah, for me, I think I put the final iteration of it was 28 years later this year, which I loved. And then you've got the Bone Temple next year, which will be, I think, the follow-up to 28 years later. That one I'll be in theaters
Yeah.
for. Street Fighter, of course, Evil Dead, which I've been a fan of that franchise forever. There's a
Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, but, yeah, obviously, I'm a big Avengers fan, and I'd love to see how that comes across, but that's not until the very end of the year. I think, like, a trailer dropped earlier today. Yeah, I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, after we get off this pod, there'll be a dozen other projects that I come across. Oh shit, I should have said that one and that one and that. But yeah, off the top of my head, those are the ones that I looked at what I watched. I got this thing from Fandango yesterday. It was like, you know, how if you listen to Apple Music or Spotify, it tells you everything you listen to, how many hours, who your top bands. And so Fandango's doing that now. And it talks about the movies you went to see and your superstar level, but I realize I like movies with really young, like handsome men in it. I don't know what it is, like F1, Superman, 28 years later, obviously.
I'm stoked for not just the games industry, but, like, movie content, entertainment as a whole, and I think that 2026 is gonna be absolutely massive, so, yeah, just thank you very much for your time. Thanks for taking the time to wrap up this year, and, yeah, look forward to chatting again next, and have a wicked Christmas.